If Turkey does not take immediate action to free this innocent man of faith and send him home to America, the United States will impose significant sanctions on Turkey until Pastor Andrew Brunson is free.
Well, that's Vice President Mike Pence sending a message to Turkey. The Trump administration is trying to free an American pastor under house arrest there. Turkish police arresting Andrew Brunson in 2016. He's facing espionage and terror charges, but denies them. Now the president is threatening sanctions if the Turkish government does not release him. President of the Family Research Council, Tony Perkins, joins us now. Tony, thanks for your time this morning. First off, who is Pastor Brunson?
Well, Pastor Brunson is a native of North Carolina. He has been ministering in Turkey for over 2 decades, loves the Turkish people, has a church not too far from Ephesus there in Turkey. Those that know the New Testament would know the importance of that city. But yet after the failed coup attempt, somehow they wanted to wrap him into that. They presented no evidence to suggest that he was involved in that, but yet they've been holding him in prison for over 2 years. And I was there yesterday when the Vice President released those remarks, or made those remarks. And I've known the Vice President for over 20 years. Rarely have I seen him so forceful. And I know that he doesn't get out in front of the president. This is the president, and this administration is sending an unequivocal message to the tyrants in Turkey that it is time to let Pastor Brunson go.
Are and by the way, we just got the 2-minute warning at the White House. We'll go to the president when he begins speaking in just a moment here. But are the threats of sanctions by the administration, including Mike Pence and the president himself, is that a good idea?
I think it is, and in fact, you've got a bipartisan letter from 66 members of the Senate already calling for those going back to April. Restrictions on visa for Turkey officials who would try to come to this country. Just this week, another provision from the Foreign Affairs Committee and the Senate that would restrict international loans to Turkey. Of course, the NDAA, which will probably be signed into law next week, has some restrictions on military hardware. So the president's not acting alone. You've got a bipartisan majority in the Senate as well as in the House that are supportive of the president speaking out on behalf of an innocent man who has been held by the tyrants in Turkey.
How do you expect Turkey to respond?
Well, I think they're responding to the pressure. They've removed him from prison and put him in house arrest. Of course, there's concerns about his safety and security there because of the government oftentimes there turns a blind eye. It is to those that would act against people of minority faiths. Turkey's becoming increasingly a dangerous place for religious freedom. And the fact that the ministerial here in Washington focused on the advancement of religious freedom had a focus upon Pastor Brunson sent a very strong message, and I think it was a part of why he was released from prison into house arrest.
Tony, you've long advocated for increased protections on religious freedom. How's the president doing with this?
The president in this administration gets an A+. This week's ministerial first ever, but of course yesterday Secretary Pompeo saying it's the first annual. They'll be doing this every year. 84 representatives from 84 different governments coming here to talk about religious freedom, but not just talk. Solid action steps coming out of yesterday's ministerial gathering of foreign leaders. And so when you look at what they're doing domestically combined with their foreign policy, we are making great advancements in giving every human being the freedom that they've been granted by God to choose or not to choose a faith.
Well, we continue to see this administration ramp up its pressure to release Pastor Brunson. We're following this story, and we will continue to do so. Tony Perkins, thank you for coming on the program this morning.
Thank you. Have a great weekend.